Hello everyone and welcome to your fourth R tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to create vectors in R. Let me give you a brief explanation of what a vector is. A vector, simply put, is a collection of data ordered in a certain way. Let me create a vector and I think it'll be a little bit more clear what a vector is after I create one. The simplest way to create a vector in R, there are several ways to create a vector, but the simplest way to create a vector is to use this C function here. It's, excuse me, let me type it up in the source. It's, the function begins with the letter C, but it actually stands for concatenate. Concatenate's a pain to type out, so they just call it C instead. So I'm going to create a vector of names, and I'm going to execute it, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what the output means. Okay, going to execute, and on the output down below we can see, well, it's typed out the four names that we typed in, and it's stored it in one object. Now you can't immediately tell it necessarily if you're new to R just by looking at this. It looks like, well, we have four different objects there that aren't connected in some way. I think that'll be a little bit more clear if I actually put this vector into an actual variable. I'm going to save myself some typing. I'm going to create a variable called names. I'm going to take the vector and I'm going to store it in that variable called names. I'm going to execute it. And what you can see up on the upper right hand side, I have a new value called names. And this output looks a little bit different. We haven't come across it in these videos yet. This character here, this means a character vector, and character just means anything that you would type in. It means, you know, like not a number, it means like a name. So it's a character vector, and this bracket for bracket means that there's four elements in that vector. So really what this names is, and I'm going to go ahead and execute names, is it's one object with four elements inside it, four names inside it. Okay. Now there are other types of vectors too. You can put numbers in here as well. Let me go ahead and create one with some random numbers in here. 127.25. Execute it, and well, there you have it down there. On the bottom you can see that this is a vector with four numbers inside it. Now sometimes the concatenate is great for the short little vectors like this, but sometimes we need to do create something long and complicated and repetitive, and we don't want to use the concatenate function like this. So let's say that we wanted to create a vector with numbers 1 through 10. R has a great little shortcut for that, 1:10. What this is going to do is it's going to create a function, going to create a vector with elements 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10 in order. I'm going to execute that. And this function is really convenient because there are often times where we want to number things in order like this. And R has a great little shortcut to do that. There's also about this function, there's no requirement that you start at 1. So if you wanted to do all the numbers between 7 and 14, let's say, that can be done as well. As you can see down there on the console, it starts at 7, ends at 14, and has all the elements in between. You can also, if you wanted to for some reason, start at a negative number, go up to a positive number, start at -2 and at 5, and there you have it too. Starts at -2, ends in 5. Okay. There are a few other vector functions that I'm going to show you here, and this next one is called a sequence function. Let's say instead of going 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10, let's say we instead wanted to count by 2s and go from 2 to 20. Well, R has a built-in function that'll let you do that. It's called the sequence function, and the arguments inside the sequence function go like this. The name of the function is sequence, so I type SEQ, left parentheses, right parentheses, and inside the first element I do is I have to say, well, where does the sequence going to start? And inside the parentheses, as you can see there, I have from equals 2. It's going to start at the number 2. Next, I have 2 equals 20. So the sequence is going to start at 2. It's going to end at 20. Lastly, I have to tell the function, what are you going to count by? Are you going to count by 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s? well, in this case, I'm going to count by 2's. So when I execute this function, we're going to see it count by 2's, starting at 2, going up to 20. And I'm going to execute it. And there you can see on the bottom, we got the output that we wanted. 2, 4, 6, 8, all the way up to 20. Okay? And the last function that I'm going to show you, that's that's convenient for creating quick vectors on the fly, is this is a function called REP. I'm actually not sure what it stands for at the top of my head. Probably repetition or something, or repeating, something like that. But anyways, let me show you what this function does. It's REP, left parentheses, and there's usually 2 arguments that go in here. The first argument is the vector that you want to repeat, and the second argument is the number of times that you want to repeat it. So recall what I just said. The first argument is actually a vector, is not a number that you put in. And you could type in the vector from scratch here, but notice on line 2, and if you look on the workspace over on the upper right hand side, we already have a vector called names. Let's go ahead and use this one. And recall that names vector are the four names that we typed in earlier. Okay, let's say we wanted to repeat these names 3 times in order. So I'm going to take, so then for the second argument here, I type a 3 here. Now this first, when I refer to arguments, this first argument is the first thing that I type in before the comma. The second argument is the what I type in after the comma. So I'm going to go ahead and execute that. And as you can see, down here on the bottom on the output, it went reading from left to right, Romeo, Juliet, Oscar, Sierra, Romeo, Juliet, Oscar, Sierra, and then another time. So it did repeat this vector 3 times in a row. Let's say that we wanted a slightly different situation. Let's say we wanted the output to be Romeo 3 times, Juliet 3 times, Oscar 3 times, and Sierra 3 times. So the notation here is a little bit different. We type REP. The first argument is, again, the name of the vector. And this last argument, instead of typing 3, we type each equal 3. And what this means is it's going to repeat each element of that vector 3 times before going on to the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and execute this. And as you can see on the bottom, Romeo got repeated 3 times, Julia got repeated 3 times, and so on and so forth for the rest of the vector. Now, in order to use this rep function, I'm not required to give the vector a name before I try and repeat it. And let me show you what I mean. Recall earlier before that when I do this 1:4, it's going to create a vector of elements starting at 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 4. Okay, not exactly a huge vector. So it's going to create a vector 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's say I want to repeat that 3 times. So this first element is indeed a vector. This last element is how many times I'm going to repeat it. And let me go ahead and execute that. And you can see there on the bottom on the console, the output is as expected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's all I have for your brief introduction to vectors for now. And I'll be talking about vectors at least for the next lesson, maybe even a few lessons after that. So I'll talk to you guys next time.